What am I going to do?
Chandler, look, they're actors. They're there to do a job. Just because they work together doesn't mean they're going to get together. Look, the rule is, when two actors are actually doing it off stage, then all the sexual tension between them is gone. Okay? So as long as it's hot on stage, you got nothing to worry about. It's when the heat goes away, that's when you're in trouble.
Whoa. That's just a theory. There's lots of theories that didn't pan out. Lone gunman, communism, spoilers.
Yeah.
This is Matthew Perry tribute spoilers.
Thought maybe you'd go with spoilers and porn. You're the best mom ever.
You're the best podcast ever. I don't know. Yeah, there's something in that.
Workshop.
Hi, Brett. How you doing? Hey, Pappy.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Well, it's kind of sad.
We all just got to see each other in person recently. This is kind of interesting.
Yes.
We had Brett's diaper party over the weekend. We just talked about you having a kid on the way in a recent episode, so I hope you don't care if I brought that up.
No. And we got to see all the classics. We got Stevie was there, Brother Brian, Matthew Quinn was more of an appearance later. Best friend Drew. We had McMasters.
Jordan Shave.
We had loyal Friends fan Jordan J-Dub.
Indeed.
Pappy's cousin.
It was a good time.
Adam was there.
And it's fitting that we saw all those characters in real life, because for this Friends episode, we're kind of rounding out a chapter in our pod life, in a way. We're just friends recording on Friends here, but we chose to do this Kathy Chronicles arc a long time ago, and this is the conclusion to that.
That's why I said I was sad when you asked earlier. I was sad.
I see.
It's the end of an era.
How would you guys, just quickly before we even get into opening question, just describe the Kathy Chronicles arc? Because I think she's in 6 of the 12 episodes or something like that we did, like, from a high perspective. What is the Kathy Chronicles?
It's kind of a sham. I mean, she's barely in any of these episodes. Like, what is she in? Like 4 of them? The 3 total episodes?
Brett, you got the actual math? I feel like we've discussed this before.
I think it was 6, but like actually she's in 6 episodes, but it spans from episode 5 to 13. So that's what, 9?
That is 9 episodes.
This is number 9.
Yeah.
I would say it feels like we have come a long way, to go back to your question, where she was Joey's girlfriend when these chronicles first started, and now she's on her way out.
I guess answering my
Well,
own question from a high perspective, the Kathy Chronicles is just this chunk of time in Friends lore where Kathy is a character. After this episode that we're covering now, she's not in any more episodes. I don't know if she's mentioned, Brett. We could talk about that some other time, maybe. But, you know, like, she's a side character. She comes in, she has an entrance, and she has an exit. There's some episodes in between that she's not in, but hint, some of those are the best episodes of Friends ever. She's not in them.
Yeah.
So let's continue on with the episode proper. But before we do, I do have an opening question. We always want to get to meet our hosts here at Spoilers before we talk about the plot of the episode or film or movie or TV show or whatever we're doing. But today's question I have for you, I didn't prep you at all, but I want to know your thoughts on actors kissing each other, love scenes. What do you think about that?
Kissing?
What do you think about that as like an art, maybe? What would you think if your significant other was an actress and kind of had to do some of that stuff? I don't know, just general thoughts, because in this episode of Friends, Chandler, the first scene we see is he has to watch his girlfriend, I think the quote is like, half naked simulate sex with a good looking man. So I don't know, with that plot point in mind, Pappy, why don't you go first? Like, what do you think about all that?
So much to unpack. This is Pappy recording from Goshen, Indiana. How do I feel about kissing in the movies? I mean, you know, when you're a little kid and there's kissing in the movies, it's always annoying, right? If you're a little boy, you're always like, ugh, a kissing part. I feel like we talked about that in The Princess Bride. episode. I don't know. There was a lot of discourse around sex scenes recently, and there were a lot of people saying like, sex scenes are unnecessary in movies. And
You're talking about Stevie. Who's wrong?
Well, no, not way broader than Stevie. This is like a whole like film Twitter back and forth that was happening. Then there was a whole other camp that was saying like, no, every sex scene in a movie is necessary. I think it just depends, right? Like, there's some pretty like some of the most iconic shots of film are people kissing, like From Here to Eternity, On the Beach, or even like Princess Bride, like I mentioned, some good kisses. I think what more like spicy, like the sex scenes, Josh. I think if it serves a purpose within the story, it's fine. Like,
and that's how you'd feel about your significant other too. As long as it serves a story purpose, I'm fine.
What I was gonna say is like to the point where it's like, is every sex scene necessary? Definitely not. Like, I don't think North by Northwest would be better if there was a sex scene at the end versus like the train going in the tunnel. If I had a significant other, I feel like I'd be an adult about it. I think I could be A-okay seeing it. Even if I was dating Selma Hayek in Desperado, I feel like I'd be like,
damn,
oh, it's cool. Look at her go. Yeah, I'd be chill. That's my girl up there.
You'd be like Chandler walking to theater. That's my girl, and I get to have sex with her.
No, I'd be a little cooler than that. But
No offense, Pat, but if you were with Salma Hayek circa Desperado, I think you'd be super jealous of anyone even being remotely close to her and being afraid that you would lose her.
Hey, my girlfriend's prettier than Selma Hayek in Desperado, and I'm still pretty chill about it. Shout out.
There you go.
Yeah.
She's not listening.
Right, what you got?
Oh, I already know. Brittany and I have talked about this. Neither one of us could be an actor, because if I had to do some sex scene, that hoe's getting stabbed afterwards. So that's a reality. I mean, I wouldn't be violent, but I'd be like, no. But also, if we're getting paid millions of dollars, we'd have to have another conversation about it. But these people are not getting paid millions of dollars in the show, at least. So, yeah, I don't think I could do it. And I know Brittany couldn't do it.
It just feels like that wouldn't be sexy for them. You know what I mean? Like, even if you are literally kissing someone, like you're doing it in front of people on a stage underneath hot lights, like with the pressure of this is your job and you don't want to get fired. You know, like
That's true.
I don't think it's like they're feeling randy when they do it. You know, they got other things on their mind.
If they're a good actor, they're feeling randy while they're doing it. This is Josh from Goshen. Joshua from Goshen. Pappy, I'd like to think I'd be an adult about it, but I would really hate to see it. I would just hate to see it. I would still love Teresa, but I would not enjoy those frames. That's all I would say. All right. Well, are you guys ready to talk about this episode? Are you guys ready to talk about the one with Rachel's crush?
Mm-hmm. The end of Kathy.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, you broke, your love life's
Whew. End of Kathy. Pappy, since you'd be so chill about it, tell us what Chandler's not super chill about as this episode opens up.
Okay, no, listen, I'm not trying to say these are ideal circumstances. For the record, like, yeah, maybe it would be more complicated. But Chandler and Ross are going to see his girlfriend, who's the star of the show,
Kathy,
in a play.
it's her chronicles.
And Chandler is very excited because he feels a sense of pride that he's banging the star of the show. And he wants everyone in the theater to know that that's his girlfriend. That's his girlfriend. But little does he know, in the play, she's acting across from a guy whose abs show through his overcoat. A very attractive man named Nick, who we never see, by the way. We don't know a lot about the show. I think it's fair to assume that Kathy is some sort of a woman of the night, shall we say? And she asks Nick to leave the money on the table, and we hear a blouse ripping. And the reaction shots of Chandler and Ross are pretty fucking funny. Like, as his eyes are just bulging out of his head.
Ross gets hit with a button.
I get to have sex with the star of the play. People can hear you.
I know.
Wow, she looks great, doesn't she?
Hi.
Hi.
That is one good-looking man. Is it just me, or can you actually see his abs through his overcoat?
So, you've been doing this long?
No, you're my first. Put the money on the table.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, that's nice.
The part that always makes me laugh is when Nick goes, "Ooh, that's nice." That always cracks me up.
Brett, what is up with his voice?
I think they wanted to make it like it's just ridiculous as possible. I don't know, but it's not realistic.
He sounds like a terrible actor.
Oh yeah, maybe that's the. I don't know. Maybe that's the point. Maybe Kathy's not very good. I don't know.
They have chemistry, though. At this point, the chemistry is hot and heavy. Confirmed.
Oh yeah.
It's the way we leave the cold open is just those bulging eyes you guys referenced a minute ago, but we hit the Friends opening theme. Guys, one more time in the Chronicles, I'll ask you. Did you skip it? Did you keep it? What'd you do here?
Actually, I screwed up with the Google remote, and it actually clicked back like 5 seconds, and it's pretty devastating. Then I skipped it. I skipped it.
You accidentally rewound it and you skipped it. Okay.
The universe tried to tell you, watch it one last time.
Nah.
Watched and noticed there's a scene from this episode in the opening. I don't know if that's just for HBO or not, but very interesting.
Is that Rachel?
Monica.
Doing the shimmy?
Monica.
I don't know
Well,
how
maybe
much
more.
you want to discuss this, Pappy, because any knowledge you may have of the opening of this episode could help you in trivia at the end. So,
Oh no.
We'll just say, some overlap between the opening and this episode.
So we get into the episode proper, out of the theme song, which I love. Josh from Goshen, Joshua, I love that shit. But the girls are like in their new apartment, and there's just some like Friends continuation of, the previous plot line that they had lost the apartment to the boys. Brett, what are just some like notes here as we start the episode, and like how are you feeling about this switcheroo happening? Like it feels permanent, it feels weird, something feels off, right?
Yeah, so the girls are moving in. I guess I can say girls are moving in. It's Monica. It's weird. It's unusual seeing them in that apartment, obviously. It's unusual Monica being surrounded by a mess because she's a clean freak. You get a quick fat joke in from Phoebe with the maternity clothes. Rachel comes in pretty much like how I come into podcasts on Thursday night, just mad at everybody and just kicking boxes and crap.
True.
And then classic Joey comes in and he grabs like a chicken leg or a turkey leg.
Hey,
Excuse me. We switched apartments. You can't eat our food anymore. That gravy train has ended.
is gravy?
If you have the big apartment, then you have to deal with people coming over all the time. What are you doing?
I think I left a donut up here.
Okay, I have to ask my friends, fans. I guess you can write in or whatever you do. I just don't know if I remember him getting up on the chair and saying, "I think I left a donut up here." So I don't know if that was an extra scene or if it just didn't. I just didn't remember it. So, but he's Joey. He's always looking for a donut. She's like, "You have the apartment now. You need to host. You need to make food for everybody." So that's kind of what's going on. It's just kind of setting up the rules and what's going on with the apartment swap.
There's something about that joke too, because it stood out to me. I'm looking for a donut up here. And I'm like, on paper, it's not really that funny, but it's just like Matt LeBlanc saying it and like the shot of his knees, like that, it does like make me laugh. Like, I'm looking for a donut up here. Like, it's just good. Like,
Well, yeah, it's Joey. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like something he would do. It's funny.
I think there's just like, I think you're right. It's a silly, funny joke, Pappy. But I think the writing, gosh, I feel like I'm always talking about the writing when we talk about the Friends episodes. But I think there's like a thread of something deeper within that joke because, like, for instance, I just like switched jobs and I moved from one like side of the company to the other. So I just switched desks. And I swear, like, me and a couple colleagues who did the same thing, like, had to go back like 19 times because there's always like little knickknacks that got like left behind or someone like had forgotten to give us before. So it's like Joey probably would leave a donut on the fridge. Like, there's something like deeply true, even though it's silly, in that makes it extra funny at a human level, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Something else going on a deeper level, and what's deeply unsettling for Monica about this whole change is that she doesn't get to be like the hostess.
Right.
Is this the first time she kind of says this aloud in Friends, Brett?
Yeah. Yeah, she's the one that likes to, she's the chef. She's the one who cleans and organizes. And so, yeah, she likes to be the one. She's also a type A, so she likes to control everything. You get to see how Monica is. She does miss hosting.
Do you like that, Pappy? Do you think that's like, because I feel like that is like a core Monica trait. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, being new to Friends, would you have caught on? Like, do you think she needed to say it aloud? I'm just kind of wondering what you think about this plot point.
yeah, that's a good question because she is kind of a little freak, isn't she? Like, she's very like controlling, like OCD to the point where she, not to jump ahead too much, but she's like a Looney Tunes character using a fan to push a smell across the hallway.
Yeah, that's funny. That actually makes me laugh every time.
It's so funny because it's just like, it's so goofy and over the top. But no, I mean, it didn't feel like too much exposition to me, Josh. And like, maybe you would have like realized it by this point in the series, but I think it works, and it's keeping this big switcheroo of the apartment's thread kind of alive, right? Because it's pretty glaringly obvious, and it's not being directly addressed within the story anymore. So you got to have like some kind of acknowledgement that, there's been a big shift in their living situation.
For sure. The other main thing that happens here, because like Rachel does mention that her job is like getting dissolved, and she, like I just mentioned, I did recently, she's moving from one part of the company to the other, and she's not very happy about it at this point. And that's basically all we got on the Rachel thread so far.
I'm glad Rachel wasn't pissed about the apartment anymore, because I thought that was still going to be her angle, and like, because she comes in a huff. I'm like, Jesus, find a new slant, Rachel. Like, we get it, you don't like the apartment, but she's got a different story now, which I like.
She does, and we'll get into that in a second. But before we leave, like, what I would consider the first act, we get one really important piece of foreshadowing from Joey, don't we, Pappy? What's his wisdom about acting and love life? If he were to answer the opening question, from this episode of Spoilers, what might he say?
I love Joey in this episode because he's working in the shadows. There's a couple things that he says here that get fallen back upon in the episode. First, and I guess really second to the main story, he points out that it's a good strategy to like call your romantic rival the wrong name, and Ross picks up on that and uses it later. I think Joey calls it a good trick, but more importantly, Joey's saying that as long as the actors on stage, including Kathy, Chandler's girlfriend, have chemistry, then there's nothing happening off screen. But as soon as they don't have chemistry, that means that, I guess they're using up their chemistry, not on the stage. And like, my hardest laugh of the whole episode again was Joey when he was like, did I ever have chemistry with any of my co-stars? And they're like, no. And he's like, no! Like, just the way Matt LeBlanc does that. It's so good.
We've talked about Joey and how he has like a good heart, but he's also like a ladies' man. But this is one of the other like wrinkles of his personality that's kind of like a paradox, because he's kind of like dumb guy, but he also has like wisdom, like old man wisdom to pass down or something.
Yeah, he can do that from time to time, especially about acting. And actually, there's actually a joke later on in the show where he doesn't really know much about acting. He tries to sit in on a beginner actor class to feel smart, and he has absolutely no idea what they're talking about. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, he's got some nuggets every once in a while. Same with Phoebe. Phoebe's not doing much in this episode.
Man, I really don't have very many notes about her at all.
I had one.
Kind of forgot about her.
She has the best strip of the episode. She's wearing like this Christmas reindeer sweater. And it's not Christmas time anymore. But I think she won the drip.
If we continue to do Friends episodes, it's always one of my favorite parts of the episode when you bring up drip. Especially when it's Ross and you're pointing out the specific outfit he has. Just keep bringing up the drip, will you? Please, Pap.
Yeah. Hopefully we keep doing these. It's the end of Kathy. It's mixed emotions.
Yeah, if people have any ideas on what arc we could do next, maybe you should write in, because we got to pick back up somewhere, but it doesn't make sense to just keep going in this season right now. I don't know. Write in. Let us know what you think.
Well, Kathy gets half naked and simulates sex with a real good-looking guy.
We get to Act 2, but this is really like not only the crux of this act, maybe episode, and maybe even the whole Kathy Chronicles as a whole. Chandler confronts Kathy on what he thinks might be shady business going on behind the scenes with her and this guy. And one of his main points is that he's probably right about his suspicions based on how their relationship started.
Yeah, and that's like cold-blooded, but I actually wrote, that's a good point.
For those of you who maybe are just listening to this episode, that history is that Chandler and Kathy kissed while Joey and Kathy were still going out. Chandler and Joey eventually got over it. But is this, Pappy, do you think this is a little bit of Chandler hanging on to that hurtful time period or something? Let's break this down a little bit.
Ooh, boy. Okay, so multiple things can be true at once. Like Brett said, 100% true. That is how the relationship started. And it's not even like Chandler asked out this random woman who he encountered in the wild, right? Like this was Joey's situationship, at the time. I think maybe going back to it, didn't Joey call her his girlfriend at one point? Like, or we had a bunch of discussion on if Joey considered Kathy to be his girlfriend.
I think so. He was dating two people at one point, but then I think he decided to just go with Kathy. I think he liked her quite a bit.
But also, Chandler definitely approached Kathy before he knew they were going out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's true, but they still kissed after he did know that.
Yes.
So, I think, like I said, both things can be true. Like, yeah, obviously, it kind of makes sense that he would be insecure about that, but he does have to take some responsibility for, like, this might be the guilt of taking his best friend's girl, manifesting in the insecurity of her kissing as part of her job. I don't know. It's very complicated.
That's the Freudian shit I wanted to hear, Pat.
Yeah.
Chandler's also has an inferiority complex. He self-sabotages, and so it's like to him, it's like, oh, this all makes sense. I was never good enough for her. Mm-hmm. I don't have the muscles. I don't have the good looks. I mean,
love-making ability like Joey has. They share a wall.
Right.
He knows.
Not everybody has abs that you can see through their shirt like Nick and I do. It's just like, it's tough.
Oh, when she has acting sex, she agrees with him more than she agrees with me. Oh, I'm Chandler.
Yeah.
I will say, it's a sitcom, 20-minute sitcom. Obviously, the scene has to happen here. But definitely a wrong time and place to be having this conversation, right? Like right in the lobby of the theater.
Yeah.
Like that's
It's
a little
supposed to
bit
show that he literally can't help himself, though. I mean, that was like the whole joke.
Right? There was like no chemistry between them. Before they had heat, and now there's no heat. Now, you know what this means. Joey told us what this means.
All right, let's not jump to any conclusions. Here she comes. Don't say a word, okay? Just be cool. Don't be, you.
Hey, you guys.
Hey.
Hi. Did you like it tonight?
Oh, absolutely.
Wasn't Nick funny when he couldn't get his match lit? It's a good play, isn't it?
I loved the play. Yeah, you were great, and Nick, ditto. Clearly, you're having sex with him.
Ross is like, this is how you need to handle it. You better do it. And then Ross is great during this, too, like in the background. He's like, so, yeah. And then he, like, leaves.
Dude, that happens a couple times just within these chronicles where a character has to, like, exit a serious conversation happening between two of the other ones, and they do it, like, the least graceful way possible every time. They're just like, bye. Like, they make a show of it.
Speaking of graceful exits, Kathy gets really pissed at this accusation. It says, Chandler, call me when you grow up. And he said, don't expect that to happen anytime soon. As in, he won't call her, nor will he grow up anytime soon.
Yeah, kind of a self burn on himself. Yeah.
Yep. I appreciate the way he kind of reacts to his own self diss there. But we would be remiss, guys. This is Joshua from Goshen, by the way. If we did not get into Rachel's new crush, and I could not be prouder. This fine gentleman, a fellow Joshua. Of course, this is someone that Rachel should like. I've always liked this plot line. I remember it from being a kid. Pappy, let us know a little bit about Rachel and Joshua and how charming and cool he is and everything.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Joshua.
Hi, I'm Rachel Green. What can I do for you, Joshua?
Well, I need a whole new wardrobe. My wife, well, my ex-wife.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, so I didn't realize this, but Brett and I were chatting before the pod. This Joshua guy, like he's an ongoing character? Is this not just a one-off for him?
It's not. I shouldn't have told you that, but yeah, he's got he's got an arc during this season.
That's news to me.
The Joshua journeys? Are we handing off right now?
No.
I told Pappy it's like my top 3 least favorite storylines in the whole show.
So Rachel has been ostensibly like demoted to personal shopper, not because of anything she did, but because her department got eliminated and she wants to stay in the company, which means she works one-on-one with wealthy clientele to basically buy them wardrobes or things that they need, like help them be their stylist. Joshua is one of them. And I have to imagine, and this would be a Stevie question, that there's way more backstory to his divorce that's being let on. Like, I don't know if that's revealed within the later episodes, but he's talking about his ex-wife burning his entire wardrobe. And Rachel's like, that's a man I got to jump on. I'm like, well, maybe figure out why his wife is burning his clothes before you.
That's some Andre Rison, Lefty Lopez stuff, isn't it, Brett?
Yeah, Left Eye Lopez. Yeah. She burned his clothes, and unfortunately it got out of control and like burned the house down or whatever. But yeah, that's a great reference. I wonder how many people will get that one. That's like mid-90s Andre Rison and Lopez.
Wait. That really happened? She burned his clothes and it burned the house down?
She like set some of his crap on fire, like in the bathtub, and it started a fire, and it was like all over the news. I don't know if it burned the house down, but it did something.
Yeah, I don't know, Josh. I wouldn't say this Joshua guy's got Riz in particular, nor Drip as good as Ross in some of the other episodes. He's just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of funny.
He's not really trying, though. He doesn't really
He's oblivious. Yeah, he could not be more oblivious as to what's happening.
Be more oblivious.
Anyway, she burned all of my clothes. So I got away with 2 things. This suit, and what turned out to be a skirt.
At least that's a great suit.
Yeah, but it wasn't much fun dropping it off at the dry cleaners in the skirt. So I need everything down to underwear. So if you're willing, I'm all yours.
Okay.
What a great spot to be in for him. Just Jennifer Aniston falling all over him. Oh, I don't even notice this Jennifer Aniston putting clothes on me.
His wife just left him and tried to burn his clothes. But yeah, he's on top of the world.
It's hard for me to suspend my disbelief in some of these Rachel episodes where it's like she's like can't find anyone interested.
Rachel's.
Come on.
Yeah. I used to always like joke about like they always seem to be single, and I'm like, they literally hang out with 2 of the top 100 most gorgeous women in New York. Like, but we're supposed to believe that they can't find a date. And then Phoebe's whatever. Phoebe's pretty as well, but
Rachel's out here being frustrated that Joshua isn't picking up a hint, won't ask her out and everything. But
Joshua.
we get a little bit more Chandler before this Act 2 finishes out. Let's just be a little open and honest and vulnerable. Matthew Perry in his life had like addiction issues. And so I feel like the scene, I just mentioned that because the scene where Chandler shows up drunk kind of like sticks out a little bit.
Steps. Slut! You will all be very happy to hear that Kathy is sleeping with that guy.
Oh, no. So you were right?
I confronted her, and she didn't deny it.
I now that you mention it, yeah, it's the first time I've seen him drunk in something since he passed. So it does have one of my favorite lines of the show this episode, though.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad scene. I enjoy the scene still, Brett.
I'm not going to get this exactly right, but he goes, "So I went to Beefsteak Chulies." And they're like, "Beefcake Charlies?"
That does sound like something I would say, actually.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's pretty obvious, but why is Chandler drunk? Like, what's he going on about?
I will say one of my favorite lines of the episode, another one that made me laugh out loud, is when he like kind of falls down the step and just yells.
He goes, "Step,
step!" Like,
that's really funny. Yeah, it's good.
It's really good. But yeah, I mean, he's coping with the fact that he had a big fight with his girlfriend, Kathy. And as far as he's concerned, it's confirmed that she's sleeping with her co-star. He's not super clear about this with the rest of the friends. So I think they're a little bit confused on what exactly was said.
He leaves the verbiage a little vague.
Yeah.
And she didn't deny it.
That leads to a great scene later when they all find out that he was lying, or that he may have been wrong. That's really freaking funny. We'll get to there, obviously, but.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever done this at your old desk, Josh, where you're like, I don't sit here. Like you just walked to your wrong desk and have to go across the hall. But yeah, he's a pretty good drunk actor, I will say. Like,
he probably was drunk.
Yeah, probably.
I'm just kidding. I mean, maybe not. I mean, he's probably on something, but yeah. Yeah, it's definitely believable.
He's fun to watch. It's hard to imagine he was like actually drunk and doing all these takes and pulling it off this well,
Right.
but maybe he was. But as we move into Act 3, it's actually after Chandler's been able to sleep this off a little bit. And Pappy, back to your point, he's kind of sheepishly explaining to the other boys that, yeah, I think Kathy cheated on me, but what if I'm wrong? And they're like, why is there room for confusion here?
There's lots of like little details that I pick up in these episodes, and I can't help but point out that while he's being all sheepish and pointing that out, there's like Blockbuster videotapes prominently over his right shoulder, and man, I miss that. It's like
Me
Blockbuster branded videotapes that they had rented. Just got done watching this movie, but yeah, he's got to confess to them that she didn't actually tell them that it was based on this theory. And Joey's like, no, there's lots of theories that turned out not to be true, like the lone gunman or
Dude.
communism or geometry.
I'm usually frustrated in rom-coms when there's like a miscommunication that leads to like the whole plot happening. Seems to be like a very common cliche. But the way this episode plays on that makes me laugh so much. Like the fact that Joey just is like, yeah, my theory was stupid. Like, why are you putting so much weight on that? It's literally just like a commercial break, and he wakes up from being drunk and explains that it was a mistake. You know, there's like very little wait time here.
Mm-hmm.
It's also got something from Ross that I love, when Chandler's like, oh, but the chemistry, Ross, you were there. And he's like, that's all you're basing this on?
No, he's like, Ross, please back me up. You're only...
Yeah.
It's like your evidence is weak. He just calls him out.
Maybe I should call her.
No, forget her, man. You don't need her. You don't need that.
He's right. What she did was unforgivable.
Well, yeah, but, you know, what if I was wrong?
How might you be wrong?
Well, you know, what if she didn't actually sleep with the guy?
Dude, tell me she actually told you this.
She did not have to tell me. I saw the play, and there was no heat. Back me up here, Ross.
That's all you're basing this on?
That's not backing me up. Look, you said, you know, with the offstage and the heat and the onstage and the heat.
Whoa, that was just a theory. There's a lot of theories that didn't pan out. Lone gunman, communism, geometry.
Oh, my God!
That's really funny. It's a freaking good scene.
I know we're maybe dwelling too much on this scene, but Brett, when Joey has that line where he's like, please tell me she actually told you this. First of all, that really reminds me of our friend Tim McGraw when he gets real kind of like that wisdom sort of tone that he takes.
I love everything about this scene. Like, I'm usually with you, like the if they would just communicate with each other, they would and it leads to the shenanigans. I usually don't like that, but it's really, really good here. I don't know. It also kind of reminds me of that when we were in college, old Timmy thought that he's like, well, I'm the Chandler. And people were like, you're Joey, dude. He used to get so mad. Do you remember that? He used to say he was Chandler. We're like, stop. You're Joey. Kind of feeds into what you're saying, but...
Yeah, I'm right there with you, buddy. What's weird here is, like, if you look at the timestamp of Friends, we're in the last third. But
yeah.
Rachel is just now getting the advice on how to ask Joshua out. It's just kind of weird, just the way the plot is stacked. But, Pappy, do you want to maybe just take Rachel's plot from here and just take it the rest of the way out?
Would you like to go to a basketball game with...
Yeah, Joey and I think Phoebe, right, are talking with her about this.
Mm-hmm.
And Joey tells her just to ask him out, which, by the way, good advice. Like, this will pop up every once in a while on the internet, but, just ask someone out if you're single and you want to go out with them. Doesn't matter what gender you are or if they are, just go for it, Her strategy is to deploy Knicks tickets because that's one of Joey's suggestions. I also think it's funny that Phoebe has asked out thousands of guys in New York City. Like, Phoebe's just such a mystery to me. I don't know what's going on with her at any time because that's never like a story or a plot within these Kathy Chronicles that we've seen of who she's going out with. But Rachel's all nervous.
Maybe
She's got the
Phoebe
Knicks
is
tickets.
talking about like past lives, like taking those into account too.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Thieves with that stuff, but...
Because, like,
she does date...
Western relationships can't really hold her or define her.
Just the math to be asking out thousands of people is
That's some
staggering.
Wilt Chamberlain math there.
Yeah. But Rachel's all nervous to ask out this guy. She's never asked out a guy before. And she uses the wrong phrasing. Right, Brett? Like, she should say, I have an extra ticket. But she says, what? I have like a pair of tickets?
She said, I have two Nick tickets as a thank you.
And
so, like, yeah.
Josh took his nephew Quinn to the game, and that's that's all she wrote. Rachel blew it. Rachel fumbled pretty bad. Like, all she should do is be a little bit more direct.
Isn't that crazy? All that happens in the last third. I think there's a little scene in there where she like calls his number, but then hangs up out of fear. There's a little bit of like, actually, we'll just get to it now. The epilogue is that Josh had left his wallet there, and she had already like called him about a missing wallet at some point too. So there's like a lot of, and some of these threads will come to fruition later too, right, Brett? But
yeah,
just a lot of kind of Rachel. Some of her stuff during the Kathy Chronicles had been a little thin, notably, but she's making a little bit of comeback here. Like Rachel stonks way up, right, boys?
Oh yeah.
If I was going to criticize this episode, I feel like it doesn't know what to do with the friends who aren't Monica and Chandler in this episode. Like there's a lot of like, they're around, they're just kind of hanging out, they're giving each other advice. Like what does Ross really have to do in this episode, right? Like he doesn't do much. He just accompanies Chandler to these things. Like, which again, not necessarily bad, but like, I don't know if they're all necessarily firing on all cylinders as much as they can.
I don't know. I think part of that is true, but I feel like in this episode particularly, like Ross probably has the least lines of the three guys, but he's batting like 450 with 140 RBIs. I mean, like he's like 4 for 4 with a homer, and Joey. Like he's got the advice. He's got advice for Rachel. He's got advice for Chandler. Something we'll bring up at the end. I'll see if anybody else brings it up right now, but throughout. But I think I'm with you though. But Phoebe doesn't have much to do, so I don't.
I'm surprised that it's titled the one with Rachel's crush, even because it should almost be like the one where, like I don't know. I guess I'm not the expert on friends' names, but the one like where Chandler and Kathy break up or something, like
one with Kathy's co-star or something.
Yeah, like Rachel's subplot doesn't feel like title worthy,
It does foreshadow
knowing what you know. Yeah.
What? That it's gonna last a while.
Yeah, that they date for a little bit.
And I think that's like that almost makes the Kathy Chronicles like more painful. That's not like sent out on an end note where they even mention it in the title. It's just like a background feature or something. But I've kind of been saving it for last because it's the last kind of hanging plot line of the Kathy Chronicles. And Pappy's right. It is kind of sad. I love these Friends episodes, and I feel like we will do it again, but like there's no guarantee of tomorrow, right? Like, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Love to see it again, but who knows? So as we mentioned before, Chandler's not drunk anymore. He's realizing he probably made a judgmental mistake. There's a little bit of a quick, hasty decision he made. So he goes over and he's gonna apologize in person to Kathy. And what do we get?
So yeah, he knocks and he says he was wrong. He was probably unfair and we should talk. It was our first fight. Now, knowing what we know, Kathy looks guilty AF when he opens the door. And then he walks in, he starts talking to her. Then he sees some slacks, I guess, for lack of a better, that's what they are, I guess. So he's like, I have a feeling our second fight's going to be a big one or whatever. But
what a great line.
Yeah, so she's in there with Nick. She's been sleeping with Nick. Or after the fact. I think you find out that she wasn't sleeping with him, but she is now. Because Kathy, my note says, Kathy sucks. I hadn't really thought of this until Pappy had mentioned it earlier in the thread. But when I think back on Kathy, I don't think of it that way. But now that we're breaking it down, she sucks. She's cheated on
Yeah.
She's dated 3 people. No, she's dated 2 people in these 6 episodes. And she cheated on both of them. I mean,
Well,
that's.
did she? Let's
Yeah.
spell this out. Pappy specifically said Kathy has the morals of an alley cat. Defend your position, sir.
That's right, Jack. I think to some extent what went down with Joey can be forgiven, especially since Joey was dating 2 women. Again, what Chandler said was not nice and in a very inappropriate place to bring that up and put his insecurities on her. Right. This is about his problem at that point, not anything that she's done. But he's in love with her. He says he loves her later on.
She loves him too, I think. So, yeah.
They're in love. They are in an explicit, committed relationship, boyfriend and girlfriend. They have one fight, and she sleeps with her co-star. That's pretty fucked. Like, that is not...
bad.
That's not cool. That's alley cat morality, Josh. I don't know how else to say it.
Nick's pants?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think our second fight is going to be a big one.
It's hard for me to know like what lesson to take from this because it does kind of seem like they break up. She's like, don't talk to me again until you've grown up. And he's like, well, I'm not going to. And so like there, all I want to say here, I'm not really defending her as much as I'm saying, I remember as a younger man watching this episode thinking like, Chandler really fucked up by being silent for, I don't know how long it is, a week or a couple days before she alley cats off. But that was what I felt like at that point the episode was trying to say.
Here's my 2 cents. I brought this up like, months ago at this point, and when we started off these Kathy Chronicles, or when I jumped in, I said, Kathy doesn't have to assume that she's in a committed monogamous relationship with Joey unless that's explicitly said. Like, but by that same token, once you're in a monogamous committed relationship with someone, you can't just go sleep with someone else without, officially breaking up with them, even if it's just like, hey, we're done.
I agree.
That's cheating. She cheats. That's all there is to it. Like, doesn't matter how bad the fight is, or if they hadn't talked for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. It doesn't matter.
Well,
I don't know.
keep going. How many days?
I would say at some point you just gotta like at least leave a message and be like, "Hey, I guess you're not gonna call. We're done."
No, she left the ball in Chandler's court when you call.
Man, this is a weird hill to die on, Josh.
Dude,
What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know.
How long is she obligated to wait for him to get a hold of her?
I would say a month, honestly.
That's kind of what I was thinking. But also, like, if you love, at some point, she could reach out to him. I mean, she knows he's childish and he's maybe not emotionally able to handle this. So, she could be mad.
This is the same episode where Phoebe's saying, Rachel, you should ask a guy out. So maybe that is a little hint at what the lesson's supposed to be. Kathy could have reached out and said, like, yeah, I could see what that voicemail would be from her. It'd be like, beep, hey Chandler, if you don't call by like 8 a.m. tomorrow, I'm gonna have to fuck Nick. We're just hanging out, kind of cuddling. So,
yes, exactly. Kathy, are you here?
What's your line? Like, at what point can Kathy assume that the relationship is over? Because I don't think we haven't been given enough clues within the context of this episode to be like, hey, it's been a month or like even 2 weeks, which I feel like that's being pretty generous.
I honestly think the episode does a pretty good job of putting the blame right down the middle. That's what it seems to me like the writers were trying to do. Like, yeah, like Chandler was harsh and arguably broke up with her on the spot, depending on how you look at it. And she obviously kind of rushed into something and clearly felt guilty about it, just like at the look on her face. So like, I don't know, somewhere in between, a little bit gray. Gandalf, a little bit Gandalf the Grey on this one, guys. And that's how the Kathy Chronicles goes whimpering into the wind. Episode not even named after the Kathy Chronicles at all. It should have just been called the Kathy Chronicles Ends episode. That would have been fitting.
Technically, the whole episode is about, the whole next episode is about Chandler trying to get over Kathy. So.
One more.
Huh?
One more.
Huh?
I'm okay with that.
One more.
Oh, man. I feel like that'd be a betrayal.
Kathy Chronicles? Question mark?
This episode, man.
Kathy Coda.
This worked well as, even though it's probably not going to be now, but even though it was like what I thought the last episode of the Kathy Chronicles, it like kind of rounds out what we teased at the beginning of the Kathy Chronicles with Ross and Rachel's storylines. Because out of the blue, it's been like 5 or 6 episodes since it was mentioned. Rachel is basically giving Chandler the same advice that he's been giving you, the listener. Hey, it was like way too soon for Kathy to sleep with someone else. She totally should have reached out and said something to you and left you a voicemail and given you a chance. That makes like Ross realize that she may be being like passive aggressive towards him and what happened in their relationship. And he feels the need to chime in. Yeah, well, unless she thought that they were on a break.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's a classic.
It's setting up the lore of the we were on a break. And it's just really funnily placed at the end of this episode. And I liked it a lot.
I've been thinking about it for about 45 minutes, but maybe one of the 3 most iconic Friends things is we were on a break. And it's maybe not outright said all like that, but it's definitely referenced here. So that's perfect. And it's kind of a funny little dig. Like he's like, so the first time you asked somebody out, they said no. That's a little different part, but yeah, I mean, he's not wrong.
They're kind of grinding against each other. I think there's another point too where she's just going off about how cute Joshua and his name is, and Ross is like,
yeah,
hello, I'm sitting right here. Clearly a little butthurt about the whole situation, but I'll say that that's my final thought. Some great little notes where like, yeah, Ross and Rachel's stuff comes bubbling up again. You guys got any final thoughts?
Yeah, I do, Pat, but you can go ahead.
2 that I had, Ross calling Joshua Jason, which is like advice that Joey had given. Or like Joey's like, that's a good move. And like Ross picked up on that. It's just funny.
Dude.
It's very little.
People at my old job, they used to accidentally, because for the listener, my name is Josh Long. I just bleeped that out, just a meta comment. But at work,
on so many episodes at this point.
At work, they would call me Justin Strong. Just because there was like a joke about how they didn't actually know my name for a long time.
Well,
good stuff. It's a little bit demeaning, huh? Look who has a
cool
podcast
name.
now. Justin Strong, baby. Let's go.
You showed them, Justin.
Friends pun on friends.
Only other final thought I had, Kathy's apartment, pretty basic. I think we had seen it before, but I don't remember this cool like alphabet thing she has. And it's really hard to explain unless you can see like a screenshot of it, but it's got like, I don't know, it's almost like a different language alphabet. It's got like what words start with those letters. Like, I don't know. Very cool piece of decor. But a fitting last shot for Kathy. The inside of her apartment and Chandler holding a pair of another dude's pants. How we go out with her.
Maybe hit me up with that image and I'll put it on Instagram or make it the thumbnail for this episode.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Did you do both of yours, Pat?
Yep. Yeah, that was both.
Okay, so first of all, I can't believe Josh didn't bring up probably his favorite quote ever when Rachel says, he's got the most beautiful name. I never realized. Joshua. Joshua. You love that, Josh?
Oh, and he's got the most beautiful name. I never realized. Joshua.
I do love it. I love it. Wouldn't it be nice if Jennifer Aniston were saying your names in a sexy way? Would you hate it? She's like, Pappy. Yes, Pappy.
Pappy.
No comment. I can't believe that we're. Actually, I read this is something that people don't really notice. Realize that this is actually the first time that I would say the most iconic Friends quote is said in this episode.
How you doing?
Never asked a guy out? No, have you? Thousands of times! That doesn't make me sound too good, does it? I don't even know how I would go about it.
Well, what I do is I look a woman up and down and I say, hey, how you doing?
That's the first time he ever says it.
This is the name of the main Friends subreddit. Is like /r/how you doing or you doing or something like that. Like I never knew why, but I'm like, is this where this is from? This episode?
Yep, it is. And I alluded to it a little bit earlier. I think maybe the three off the top of my head most iconic jokes or lines or whatever is how you doing? Probably number one, that we were on a break, and then like Chandler with could I be ... Maybe a Monica, I know, but yeah, so and how you doing? I mean, even people who don't know Friends very well know how you doing. It's classic, and it's funny that it doesn't work on Rachel, then he turns it on Phoebe and it actually works. She blushes. So pretty classic. I think that's
I feel like it's like one of those
all I have.
It's like a classic slow burn joke, Brett, because it's not like the shiniest joke in this episode, but it's so quintessential to Joey and his character that they are able to bring it back in more funny situations later because it's so like just so him.
Oh yeah,
and it fits so many things he talks about, I guess.
For sure. I think that's about all I have, but I kind of feel bad we literally didn't talk about Monica spent 2 days cleaning the apartment and inviting everyone over and had cookies and porn and that was earlier. Cookies and porn was
the
earlier.
Trivia has like one really good note about the whole Monica thing.
Okay.
So
I'll stop it then.
That'll help.
I'm good.
This is Joshua from Goshen. This is a yes for me. We just hit a couple of A Friends episodes in the A grade range. This is like down a little bit from that. I guess this is like just a flat B episode. Really good, fun Friends episode. I will say, just like what I thought was the last episode of the Kathy Chronicles and what is her last appearance. That is like just a little like disappointing and kind of like, I don't know, some sort of like an ellipses that never quite gets resolved or something. But maybe we'll extend the Kathy Chronicles by one episode. We'll see. But Brett, how about you give us a yes or no in your letter grade rating as well?
So yeah, it's definitely a yes. I actually have always really liked this Joey Kathy storyline, the Chandler Kathy storyline in this episode, and it held up for me. I thought it was really, really funny. The other stories aren't my favorite necessarily, but so with just the
you said your least favorite, Joshua.
Favorite? What? Oh yeah, one of my least favorites. But it's not really bad here. It just gets worse. But I'm maybe B plus, A minus.
Come on.
I'll probably have to say B plus just because we got a lot of good stuff. But yeah, I'll go with that. B plus.
Perfect. Pat?
a yes. I'm a little lower. I'm probably like B- range. It's fine. I only really laughed twice at the Joey joke and Matthew Perry saying "step," which is still so funny to me. I think it's like fun, especially to talk about with you guys, like who's in the wrong, like kind of like the relationship aspect of it, but lower on the totem pole of episodes that we've done together. But I will say A+ for these Kathy Chronicle episodes. Thanks for hosting all these, Josh. Thanks for including me, boys. I know I was an outsider, but I appreciate the invite. Yeah, it's been fun.
Oh, you got to be on them from now on, Pap. It's got to happen.
I'm enjoying it. And like, I don't know. I think I said this at the beginning, but man, these 20-minute sitcom comedies just go down so easy. They're so fun to watch.
It's not very common. Yeah, it's not very common anymore, but it's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. So, if anything, hard yes just for that. It's fun to watch an episode of Friends with the Boys and talk about it.
Friends with friends.
No, it's just friends podding on friends.
Yep.
I don't know what you just said, but it was just slightly wrong. It irked me.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is, I think, the first one we've done that's over an hour. They're typically not over an hour, but
no.
I'm pretty proud of this trivia. I tried to get ChatGPT to write this one for me, but they just flat out said they couldn't. So I hope you all be proud of me. And full disclosure, possibility of errors in this one. I would love for people to challenge me right in.
With ChatGPT? No.
With me. Because ChatGPT just straight up said, no, I can't do that. So if anyone has any other theories or like can dig anything else up, let me know. But here it is. I don't want to keep dragging this out. So in the opening trivia, outside of, like the scene where, how they have like the umbrella and the couch, and it's like they did that scene when they first started.
The waterfall.
Yeah.
The
fountain. Those cutscenes aside, I counted 27 different scenes that they pulled from Friends in the in-between, okay? I want you to tell me, and this is where it gets iffy, how many was Joshua from Goshen able to identify as part of the series that we just covered from Friends at season 4 episode 5 to the current one we just did, which is 13. So of all the cutscenes that they did, all 27 little cuts, how many of them were from the episodes that we just podcasted on? Does that make sense?
I love this because there's like, what number do I think it is? And like, how accurate do I think you, Josh Uwa, are based on that number? It's like 2 levels.
Let me speak to that a little bit. So I went through and counted them, and then I went through and identified which ones I already knew. And then I took screenshots of all of the other ones and went to Google Lens, sometimes asked ChatGPT follow-up questions. I was really sleuthing on this. So,
holy mackerel.
Of the 27, of which I think I have a pretty good idea where they all came from, all 27, but which of them were from these specific 9 episodes. Brett, I think this is a good one for you to go first on. And I just want to say, if you're within a point or two of the other person, you might be able to make up that on the backside. So it might not, I'm just saying that might not be good for Pappy to just like butt up against you. If you say like 9, for him to say 8 or 10, there's going to be like a little tiny glimmer of hope for you to make up a point or two. So you're better off to guess separate if you think. I hope that makes sense later. But Brett, why don't you set the mark? How many out of 27 clips were from the episodes that we podcasted on Spoilers? Kathy Chronicles.
Well, let's see, every season they would do new clips and then change them a little bit throughout the season. 27, we're about 3/5 through the season. I was actually going to say 9, but since you said 9, I'll say 11.
I think it's way lower.
I think it might be 2.
I know there's the one of Monica spinning on the, I don't know, what do you call it? Floor polisher? Floor buffer thing? I'm going to say 3.
Okay. I think what would be best if I was just able to read a couple of them off. All the following are different cutscenes. Monica shudders thinking of Richard's son kissing him. Chandler and Ross making the Gandalf tongue noise. Joey's reaction to Monica and Richard's son kissing. Ross in the messy apartment. Rachel becomes an assistant buyer in Cheers. Monica with sauce on her chef's coat in the kitchen dancing. Monica cleaning the scene that they show in this where she's like waxing the floor, but it's from like the opposite angle that they actually don't show in the episode proper.
Ooh.
Phoebe singing with a hat on her head from the Sick Voice episode where she has the sexy sick voice. Phoebe with the puppy that she has to give up if she thinks she can give up a baby in her uterus. Phoebe coughing, exaggerating the sickness that makes her singing voice sexy. Ross playing his sound quote on the keyboards. Ross being disgusted and talking about being in the mess. And then 3 additional scenes where they're doing the flip off where you hit their fists together.
Yep, the fist
which
bump,
brings us to 15 out of the 27.
Holy mackerel.
There's no way you're going to be able to shave off all those points, Pappy. So the victory does go to Brett. Brett, it was just me and you at the start of these Kathy Chronicles, so I think this is kind of fitting. Like, take us out with a hot take. Let us know how you're doing. What are you thinking about Kathy Chronicles, the future of Friends, spoilers, anything you want, man. Take us all the way out, please.
Let's see. I'm doing pretty well. I mean, I've loved doing this friend stuff. I think we should do storylines. I mean, I can come up with some this week that are like chunks of episodes, but we'll talk about it. I don't know if I really have a hot take, but you know, sorry, I got nothing. I'm pumped. I'm pumped that Pappy's on this. Our friends now. We know some of our friends really love these episodes, so maybe we can keep making them if people want them. So that's all I got, and take it away, Spoiler Man.
Spoiler Man here. Special thank you to our patrons. Matt Troll.
Joshua.
Brother Brian.
Josh.
Nephew Quinn.
My nephew is crazy about the Knicks.
Nurse Stacy.
Josh. Ooh-ah.
Nick.
Nick. Ditto.
The Wolf.
Ow, ow, ow.
Ooh, that's nice.
The Meg.
You know, he'll be like, so, where's your boyfriend? What's his name? Chester?
Gale.
That is a good trick.
PK.
I'm gonna ask him out.
Spencer.
How you doing?
Barky 420.
I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Swole.
I mean, just because it happened with like Susan Sarandon and Tim Robbins doesn't mean it's going to happen with them.
Sebastian.
Oh, Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger.
Dr. Lars.
Oh, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Austin.
Hey, Mel Gibson and Clint Eastwood.
Shatty Daddy.
I threw her at his man nipples.
Jimmy the Cricket.
Man, are you gonna go see the play with me tonight?
Best friend Drew.
Hi, Joshua.
Druid King.
We should get started. Let me show you my underwear.
That was Spoilers.